Okay, so here is Andie. And he has got his bridle on. And you can see I've put the lunge line through the bit. So on this side, he gets a little bit of pressure and gets to understand what moving from this pressure, the bit pressure. So he's going to understand how to steer a little bit today. He is going to school. Okay, so here we go. So I want to start out just disengaging his hind end and getting him to cross over behind, and he understands that now. It's not so much a fight. So he does that well and get good nice bend in his rib cage. He's much more respectful. I can move him without touching him and really just driving him with the flag. I think eventually here soon we'll be able to work without the flag. Here he just decided that, no, I'm going to act like I'm stuck. So here he starts to pull and feels the pressure of the bit, and then he stops. He's just unsure of what that is. He's processing it. I don't let him stop completely. Slowing down is okay, but I do want him to continue moving forward as he's processing, feeling the pressure of the bit in his mouth. But he's doing very well here. See, his head's not high in the air. He's got his ear on me and he's listening. So there's tension in the line when he pulls, and I ask for his nose to be to the inside. And as soon as he releases, I put the slack in the line. I give him his head. So there. And he was very good. There you go. Good boy. Again, still processing it, so he'll tug a little bit going into that, and then I give him his head. So here he keeps wanting to slow down just because he's feeling the pressure of the bit in his mouth. And I'm just encouraging him to keep moving forward. I want him to still have impulsion and keep his head down. So using his hind end, feeling the bit pressure, and still moving forward into the bit. Teaching this now will help have a better communication and understanding for when I get into the saddle. He'll understand what the bit pressure is and what I'm asking for. I'm telling him he can trot and poop. He was wanting to stop. Good boy. He's starting to develop a nice top line. He looks so.
Yeah, hopefully when he starts muscle up and everything, that his drop is getting big and kind of hold himself together a little more.
Yeah, he's definitely more balanced. He's getting more balanced. He's not there yet. But yeah. And before, he's actually starting to engage his hind end a little bit. Before, he just dragged himself to the front end.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Drop. Good boy. Good boy. There you go. Good boy. So you'll notice in this turn how he's bending his body from his nose to his tail, creating a nice bend in his trunk, yielding to the pressure on the bit. It's exactly what I want. There, good. There you go. Bring your head down. Good. Good boy. There you go. Good boy. So I work a lot with transitions from walk to trot, and then trot back to walk, and then walk to canter, and then back to walk, and then the trot to canter, and so forth. And this is to really confirm and solidify within his mind the verbal cues for each command. And that way, when we go into the saddle, under saddle training, then he will better understand what I'm asking for. Stop. Go. Go. Thank you. Good boy. So here I'm just switching sides, so that, again, feeding the lunge line through the bit and onto the halter. So he is familiar with the pressure from the halter, but then is also having the bit pressure incorporated as he's learning. So here, when I apply pressure to the bit and then ask him to go in the opposite direction, he gets a little bit confused and stuck. So I just stick with it and ask him to yield his shoulder. Slight pressure. There. And then he moves off. And then I relieve the pressure of the flag, putting it towards his shoulder so he goes out. And he does very well. So here, when he goes to the outside of our circle, he pulls a little bit and I ask for his nose and he gives it right to me. So there's slack right in the line immediately as soon as he gives to that pressure on the bit. Here he keeps his nose cocked to the inside, so I was able to give him a lot of release there. So just a slack in the lunge line and he drops his head and really starts to relax into it. He's doing well. He just tries to pull out a little bit with his nose. I asked for it back. Then he was being lazy, so I got after him and didn't want him to stop cantering until I asked him to. Really needing him to use his body more. Here I let him come down to a trot. There he picked up the canter, but on the incorrect lead. He picked up the left lead in the right direction, so I brought him back down to a trot and then asked him for canter again. And there he picked up the correct lead. Again, lots of transition work so that he understands clearly what I'm asking for with just the verbal cues. And again, that will translate to being in the saddle. And here we're just touching on our ground manners, yielding the hindquarters. Much better there. Not even needing to touch him, simply just raising the flag in his direction, and he understands what I'm asking for. He's a very good boy. Happy with that. Here, just yielding the 4/4. He crossed over up front. That was a good boy. There he tried to step out of it and step forward into my space, so I corrected him, and then he moved over very well. He was a good boy. Staying right with me, no pressure on his face, just into his space, his bubble, and asking him to back up. Again, he stopped right with me, no pressure on the long line or on his face. A little hesitant to back up, so I use a little more energy, shaking the lunge line and using the flag, but no pressure on his face. So just using my space bubble to move him. Asking him to drop his head, and he does very well there. He really has learned to be much more relaxed and receptive to all of his training, so I'm very happy with how far he's come and how well he's done. Andie is going to be introduced to the flowers. See what he thinks about that. He couldn't care less. What do you think? Go see these? What are those? These are green plants too. Good boy. Can you check these out? Good boy. That's a good boy. Nope, head up. And whoop. Good man. He's doing very well.
Here I'm going to teach Andie what it is to have me on the mounting block. I did work with him once with this yesterday, so he is a little bit familiar with it. Totally natural for him to sling his butt out, but I keep his feet moving and applying pressure to him with the mindset of making the wrong thing difficult and the right thing easy. There's the shape I want, so I relieve the pressure a little bit. Then I ask him to step forward a little bit more, and he does. I mean, that quickly he picked it up. He's just so smart. Here I set him up, and he found it, so I praised him for being a good boy, letting him know that's exactly where I wanted him to be, rewarding him. He's a good boy, because I can get on him from here. That's exactly what I want. It's where he needs to learn to stand when being mounted. He's a good boy. Here he stepped away, so I'm going to ask him to move some more and put him back.
No, he's good.
Making the wrong thing difficult and the right thing easy. Relieving pressure right there. Good boy.
Do you want me to take the cones or is he good with those?
He's good.
Okay, thank you. Sure.
You're just a show off.
He's brave.
Here, I know how to get you at the mounting block. Good boy.
All right, then. I'm gonna go home.
Of course, now that we have boundaries, yeah, different horse. You can't go to
You are a nice guy.
It's gonna be super cool. I just wish his pastimes I think are maybe coming up a little bit, but not. Here you can see how much different he is, respecting boundaries and standing so still and quietly. It's very good. I'm very proud of him. He's come a long way.
He needs to stop.
Dude, you just need to buy me a bigger facility or something, because I can't. It's not like I have all the time in the world, but it's not the only thing I do. He keeps texting me, did you get another video? Have you made the video?